Hello and welcome back to the Yogis Pod. Let's get straight to the question. Namaskaram. My longing is kind of on and off. I have periods of intense longing, but then within a few hours it cools down. How can I consciously keep it burning for longer periods of time? The Eternal Seeker. Relevant username, right? See, I'm going to try to answer this, but I'm warning you, it may sound vague to some people, and some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And most will fall somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. So just take what you find useful and forget about the rest. So, what is this longing? This longing is a natural and inherent desire of life to know more about itself. So in essence, you want to know more about yourself, something deeper, other than your outside identities and roles. Because initially, you will find yourself via feedback in social situations and real-world tests like your relationships. You know you're a friend to somebody, a son or a daughter or a mother. These are your roles. This is a means to know more about yourself in relation to other people. The problem with this is when the role gets taken away from you. When you lose this other person somehow, you lose your role as well. And maybe it is the loss of this role that we mourn when we lose someone, more so than the actual loss of a person in some cases. This is a completely different tangent though. Now, coming back to your longing, it will continue to come and go, but after a point, it won't even come. It may just permanently go. Or maybe it will return when you're done with all the other things in your life, which you're prioritizing above your spiritual longing right now. When you're old and you have no life left in you, you will think, I think I should start thinking about this death thing because it seems like it's going to undo everything I've built so far. Panic will set in as you approach the inevitable. The process of life is going to feel very unforgiving, especially towards the ignorant. Repugnant is a creature who would squander the ability to lift an eye to heaven, conscious of his fleeting time here. See, a spiritual longing is a natural desire to know more of life or to know more about yourself. And this longing is the gift we come with as humans. In fact, this is our defining characteristic, that we can sit here and ponder and question the nature of our own existence, to question the nature of reality itself, instead of just shuffling along and to do all the peoply stuff that we as people do. The job, the kid, the money, the family, the loan, the car, the bills, and all that hustle and bustle. A spiritual longing means you pause amidst this and really see what is happening around you, to really hear the music of existence, to really ask yourself, what is this? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing on this giant rock, hurtling through space, orbiting another super sun or something? And all these galaxies and stars and nebulas are just scattered across this black, three-dimensional canvas called space. And that there are all these other humans around you, all having their journey, and all of that consciousness is plugged into them, and they're just walking around and looking at you from their entire huge, complex and subjective worldview while you look at them through yours. So फिर क्या job छोड़ दूँ? No, you're missing the point if you say that. Please take your job seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously. Or to be more precise, don't take your idea, your current idea of yourself too seriously. We still do the mundane human stuff, We fight on petty things and we act out and we have all these traumas from what people do to us because somebody did that to them and now we're doing it too, but we have to heal it. And now here come along some people who are asking, who am I? I got to deal with this crap too on top of paying all these bills. Sometimes I'm extremely envious of people who have never had an existential crisis. But then I remember earlier in my more ignorant days versus my slightly less ignorant today, Since I only have myself as a reference, sometimes I look back and remember how I was just running after I don't know what my whole life with all that anxiety. Because the momentum of the world rubs off on you, and it takes a while for you to come to a standstill just to ask why, the what, the how, and so on. And now that I have slipped down this rabbit hole and I'm slipping and sliding and I'm trying to grab onto something only to realize I can't. Once you have struggled enough and banged your head on the wall enough, you come to terms with how ungraspable it all is. So you inevitably stop struggling and give in. And it may take you some time before you find a more intelligent way of going through this. The time before you arrive can be a very dark and depressive time for you as you lose your sense of self. Losing yourself is a part of finding yourself. And also, the way you thought of this world wasn't real either. So you get really sobered up, You lose this showy, ego-inflated sense of ambition. Because what's the point? What would be the point even if you did get all of what you wanted? When you know what lies ahead. The inevitable capital D. It's like a single door with a sign which says birth on one side and death on the other. Same door though. The very thought of death is sobering. Unless you avoid it and get back to all of that without addressing it. See, I'm not saying it has anything to do with you having a job or not, because it doesn't. I'm just saying you gotta address it. And when you do, if you're intelligent enough and graceful enough, you will be able to come out the other side of all this darkness, leaving your ignorant, silly ideas of life behind and really live. And you get back to the peopling stuff. But it's not as nauseating as before. It's not like you're stuck with the character you're playing. But you do have to get back to the regular stuff, I'm sure enlightened people brush their teeth the same, right? You probably have heard the saying from Zen Buddhism, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Or as they say, doing the laundry after the acid trip. Maybe some of you are able to relate to this one more. Because after whatever great mystical experience, you have to wash your clothes because you need clean underwear, right? So then we come to what's the point of spirituality? A very wise friend of mine, Dave, said this recently, and I'm actually going to have conversations with people on this channel at some point. So anyway, he said, spirituality is that sprinkle of salt on a dish. It brings all the flavor out. Without it, life just feels bland. And I would add to that, life feels not only meaningless, but mechanical without it. Like you're just going through the motions, but not really feeling alive. So people look for ways to feel something, to feel anything really. And that leads them to a really dark path. And that's kind of the reason I feel sometimes psychedelics work, because they show you a glimpse of what you could be if you had your antennas tuned to a higher frequency. It jolts people out of their neurotic patterns. It comes with its risks and pitfalls, obviously. I do not recommend it, and that is a topic for a whole another video. But the reason I'm saying all of this is because I'm telling you the two paths which lie before you. One in which you address your longing, and one wherein you ignore it. It's easier to ignore it, and that is the choice most people make. It's easier to be on zombie autopilot mode. It's difficult to wake up and be conscious. It's an uphill task. It requires striving. People love to look up to spiritual people, but man, I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard for most people to do the right thing, speak the truth, and not compromise on their integrity. I won't sell you with the fancy woo-woo stuff, oh, your energy will rise and go to your third eye and bliss, bliss, bliss. Hasn't happened to me yet, Well, not a permanent sense of bliss at least. I'm saying it's hard to do the right things, but it's worth it. Do you want the wisdom you would have 50 years from now in the next 5 years instead? Because this is actually what is on the table for you if you choose to act on your longing in a conscious way. But you have to pay the price. It won't come free. All the ups and downs, which was going to be stretched out across many decades, will now be condensed into a few years now. But by the end of those years, you will have much more under your belt. So you're crying one second and laughing the next. And if you happen to catch a glance of yourself in the mirror, you will realize how utterly mad you are in this human condition. And that's pretty much it. More life has happened. And the price is to be able to tolerate it first and to be able to stomach it. Good digestion is important. And then to make something out of it on the basis of your intelligence. If you're graceful enough, you will be out with minimal damage. I have taken a lot of damage, but I'm certain there are more intelligent and graceful people than me who are able to come out the other end with less damage. No damage at all, doubtful. But I guess it's possible. What do I know? Spirituality and this existence and the beyond are bottomless pits. There are infinite levels above you and below you. There will always be more. You need mad courage to walk this path. You will see some people ahead and some behind, so you will always feel somewhere in the middle. That is, if you are successful at it. You want it now? So, dig deeper. Be unwavering in your approach. The choice is between living a superficial life versus a profound one. There is no extra incentive. The realization of the profoundness is the incentive. And I'm not saying either choice is inherently wrong or better. And just by saying that, we can actually see clearly what consequences these two choices bring with them. Because they both come with their perks and their pros and their cons, And this way, you're truly free to decide which you prefer. But the reward of the striving is invaluable. It's priceless. It cannot be bought. It's to fulfill your own unique purpose. It remains beyond what's trending and what's hot in the stock market and what society deems valuable today. And if you don't choose it, nothing wrong with that actually. But if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. So, choose wisely. But remember, tick-tock.